Hello, and welcome to the Big Show. This is Dim Lights and Stiff Drinks, the dive bars of Seattle. We're interested in those roadhouses, taverns, and honky-tonks that have a long history and an interesting backstory. And this isn't some jive where we're all sitting in our basements on a Zoom call.
No,
we're here.
live on location.
That's
Greenlake,
right.
baby.
We're live on location. We tie one on in the places where bad decisions and future regrets are made. Our listener might have noticed the word honky-tonk in the intro is not normally there, but it's there for a reason this week. Because where are we at, Bob?
Little Red Hen.
We are at Little Red Hen, damn straight. Little Red Hen is the only legit honky-tonk in Seattle. And by honky-tonk, I mean they play both kinds of music, country and western. Right? Shout out to Bob's Country Bunker from the Blues Brothers. This is a country bar, a place to go boot scoot and two-step and western swing and line dance and have a blast. So I highly encourage our listener to come to check this place out. Even if the words I just said don't mean anything to you. I don't know how to boot scoot. I don't know how to two-step. I don't know how to swing. Doesn't matter. Little Red Hen will teach you.
That's right, lessons.
That's right,
They'll teach me.
They'll teach all of us. They have
Three times a week.
3 nights a week, free dance lessons, 8 o'clock, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So please come on down and get down and support this place because it's awesome.
Even if you got 2 left feet, they'll teach you.
Even if you got 3 left feet, they'll teach you.
You don't have to worry about being on camera or somebody like TikToking your ass or anything. Nope. It's all good. It's all casual.
That's what they always say.
It's all super incognito. The windows are all taped up and stuff, so you don't have to worry.
That's right. And this wasn't like set up in the 90s when Garth Brooks and Billy Ray Cyrus brought country back from the dead. This has been here since what, Brad?
Well, it's been here since the 30s.
It was an after Prohibition bar, right?
Yeah, it started out as a beer parlor.
Nice.
Oh, okay, cool. All right, so let's say hi to the crew, everybody. This is it's a Bob Trombley production.
Hey, now.
As always.
Hey, now, Bob Trombley's here in the building. To my right is resident historian Brad Holden.
Hello, everybody.
And straight across from me is our resident Suds Gourmand, Jeremy.
I'm calling myself, how about DJ Lemon Wedge?
Ooh, I like that.
Jay's drinking a Hefe. He's got a lemon wedge. So,
Don't jump ahead.
All right. Let's say hi to the house band, Satan's Pilgrims. Thank you for Ben Tanaka, our theme song.
Hey, now.
And
Word.
what do you want to do next, Brad? Let's kick it over to you. Tell us some more about this place. What year did it open, and what's a beer parlor?
Yeah, so the Little Red Hen is Seattle's oldest country bar.
Yeah.
And it first
Country and Western bar.
Country and Western bar, thank you. And it first opened as a beer parlor on June 20th, 1933. So after they repealed Prohibition, they allowed beer to be served again, and a lot of these beer parlors opened up, and then they eventually became taverns.
So kind of like a pot shop now. As soon as the laws change,
Yeah,
bam!
that's actually a good
Entrepreneurs
comparison.
swoop in
That's
to
right.
start cashing in.
Yeah, right away, a bunch of them opened up, just like what you were saying, just like the pot shops when they gave the green flag.
God bless
Greenlake.
America.
God bless America. It was originally located in the Finney Ridge neighborhood at 50th Street and Finney Avenue North. So, that was basically kitty corner from the Woodland Park Zoo.
Yeah.
Right? Lou, you live in Finney Ridge, right?
I'm Wallingford, but yeah.
Oh,
the
you're
zoo
Wallingford,
is right
okay.
up there.
You're
so,
close
yeah, you're
by.
exactly right. It's the zoo.
I can
Yeah.
see the zoo from my backyard.
The original owner of the bar, when it first opened, was an avid fisherman by the name of Leslie L. Kime, or LL as he was commonly known. So, like
think it was
LL Cool
Kime.
J. But everyone called him LL.
Ladies love Kime.
Ladies love, exactly. So I don't know if he was a ladies' man or not, but that's what they called him.
Oh, he's going to knock you out.
Mama's going to knock you out. In their first year of business, the Little Red Hen found itself in the middle of a violent skirmish between 2 different union organizations fighting over control over the newly legalized beer market. At the heart of this conflict was the delivery of beer from the breweries to all the newly formed taverns and beer parlors. So initially, when beer was first made legal again, following the repeal of Prohibition, all local beer deliveries were union controlled. So the trucks and the drivers, unions controlled those. And here in Seattle and Tacoma, they were controlled by the Teamsters Union. That was the most powerful union at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And unions back
Jimmy
then...
Hoffa of Seattle.
Yeah,
is what you're
and-
talking
yeah,
about?
yeah.
Criminal
It
mobs
was
were
run-
not involved at all. I'm
No,
sure.
not at all. It was
No.
completely legit.
On the up and up.
It was corrupt as hell. And, the Jimmy Hoffa comparison. So the Teamsters Union, was run by this guy, Brewster, I believe was his name. And he was like the Seattle version of Jimmy Hoffa. He eventually went to prison for corruption. Nice. No big surprise there. But anyway,
Still don't know where his body is.
Yeah, right. Might be at the bottom of Lake Washington. We don't really know.
End zone at the Meadowlands Train Stadium.
Right. So anyway, so that's kind of what was going on when beer was first legalized. However, shortly after the repeal, the Teamsters Union went on strike. They were asking for more money and this and that. And when they went on strike, a rival union known as the Brewery Workers Union basically snuck in and took their place as replacement drivers.
Ooh.
Right? And of course, that didn't go over too well. Scabs, exactly.
Brewery.
That didn't go over too well.
So this is like Union Turf Wars.
It's Union Turf Wars, exactly. In fact, they even had a name for it. It was the Seattle Beer Wars, what they called it, because things got pretty hardcore. Shit got real. For instance, whenever the Brewery Workers Union trucks tried to drive through the picket lines, that wasn't received too well. They would actually stop the trucks, throw stuff at them, pull the drivers out and beat their ass. I mean, things were, pretty gnarly at the time. And this happened several times during the particular strike. There was even a few deaths from it where they were pulling guys out of their truck and the guys ended up dead. So they didn't call it the Seattle Beer War for nothing. One of the things that the Teamsters also did, the ones that were on strike, was intimidate any local taverns who were accepting beer deliveries from these rivals, from the Scabs, exactly. Mm-hmm. And this included the Little Red Hen. Oh. They were accepting deliveries from the Scabs.
We don't care where the beer comes from. We got country music to get
We got beer to serve.
Free market, baby. Let's
whoever
go.
brings it to us, but we need beer.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those guys.
So in September of 1934, a car full of thugs from the Teamsters pulled up to the Little Red Hen, waited for the rival delivery truck to pull up, and when it did, the men approached LL, the owner, and told him in no uncertain words, if you take delivery of this beer, you're going to regret it. He kind of shrugged it off, accepted the delivery anyway.
And then he knocked him out.
And then Mama knocked him out. Despite the threats, he accepted the beer anyway and proceeded on with his business. 2 days later, the Teamsters made good on their promise, because when he showed up for work the next day, 3 of the plate glass windows at the original location had been shattered, and they also completely destroyed their neon beer sign that was out front, the one that was out on the street. Yeah. Cost a lot of money, yeah. A total of 12 other Seattle taverns also sustained similar damage at the hands of these Teamster thugs for the same reasons, because they were accepting deliveries from the Scabs.
He probably did not have a Ring camera installed at the time to catch
probably
this.
Probably not.
The Nest was around.
Yeah.
No.
Right. Eventually the strike ended and things resumed back to normal, but Little Red Hen certainly played a part in what the local press dubbed the Seattle Beer War. Aside from that, nothing else really noteworthy really happened at the original Little Red Hen. Although it sat at its original location for 34 years, from 1933 through 1967, before relocating here to its current Greenlake location where we're sitting right now. But back to its original location, sometime in the late 40s, the Little Red Hen fell under the ownership of a husband and wife team, Richard Herring and his wife Sylvia. Richard died not too long after they bought the bar, and Sylvia became the sole owner of the place until she died in 1982. So it sounds like she was the one who oversaw the move in 1967 when it moved from Finney Ridge to here.
And then the next couple, it was the Olsons, is that right? I stumbled onto some of it.
It was her daughter. I think their last name was the Olsons, yeah. In 68, a year after it had moved here to Greenlake, police responded to a burglary call here.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. So Seattle Beer Wars 2?
Not quite.
Infinity War.
Sure enough, a group of 4 men had made their way inside Little Red Hen by smashing out a window, and once inside had used tire iron to smash apart 2 pinball machines to steal all the quarters.
Oh, boy. That's hard up.
Yeah. When the police arrived, 3 of the men tried to flee out the front door.
Mexico we go.
Yeah. So 3 tried to flee, and 1 hid inside the women's restroom. The officers gave chase.
It's logical. Yeah.
Right? A good place to hide.
Cops aren't going to come in here. It's a women's restroom.
Unless you
They'll never find me in here.
Hold on a minute, I'm indecent. Oh, sorry, ma'am. Out the back door he went.
So the cops showed up. 3 of the men ended up running away. and the cops gave chase. One of the men turned around and made the unwise decision to swing at one of the officers with a tire iron.
Ooh.
Now, this was back when cops operated with a large degree of impunity, shall we say.
Like, I didn't even need a reason to beat the
I didn't
shit
even
out of
need,
you.
yeah, and this
now-
was like, there were no tasers back then. This was like billy clubs and guns.
38 snub, you know?
Yeah, and that's where it's going. You know, if you took a swing on an officer back then, things were probably not going to end up so well for you, and things didn't end up so good for this guy. He ended up getting shot twice in the chest. The cop just pulled out his gun and, okay, we'll take care of this problem right now. And that's what he did.
Adios, muchacho.
Yeah, and of course, all the other guy, they found the guy in the women's restroom.
What?
Yeah, I know, shocking. They ended up finding him, believe it or not, and the other two
Decent
guys
exposure.
too. So yeah, you know, this team of burglars wasn't exactly the crew from Ocean's 11.
So the dude with 2 in the chest, did he make it?
He did actually make it.
All right.
He did. He
All right.
He was brought to the hospital and he lived through it.
Went
and
on
then I
to
think he
be
went to,
a famous movie gaffer.
yeah, or just a gaffer.
I like the Ocean's 11 analogy, like, we're going to steal all the quarters from the pinball machine, and the cops are going to run in. But the cops are actually our guys in disguise. And we walk out front with the quarters, Mexico. $4.75.
And we each have our job. And you, John, over there, you're the tire iron guy. If one of the cops gives chase to us, you swing at him. It's a foolproof plan. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier, Sylvia, the original owner, passed away in 1982. And when this happened, her daughter, Judy Olsby, that's what it wasn't Olson, Judy Olsby took over ownership. Judy Olsby died 13 years later in 1995, at which point the bar was taken over by her son, Dean, and her daughter, Cindy. They ended up only owning the place for a year, and they decided to sell in 1996. So it stayed in the family for close to 50 years. And one of the things I'm always surprised about is how many of these taverns were owned by women.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
You know, it's kind of surprising.
The family ownership history is interesting enough.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's so many places that we've been to where the history shows that usually it's like a family and then like the dude passes away.
And then the wife just takes over
right?
ownership.
Or the daughter or whatever.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You got to wonder, it's like, most of those stories, it wasn't necessarily that she wanted to, but
Right.
circumstances happen. She's like, well, got this bar now.
I guess
But
it's
some
the
of them are
business.
great success stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
That's
You
how you
guys
do
have to
it.
Throw them in the pool.
That's
you own,
right.
You own a bar now. Figure it out.
And that's probably what they did. But yeah, a lot of female tavern owners back then. And it's not that, you know, there's anything surprising about it other than the fact that back then it was a different time.
Oh,
and you,
for sure.
You just wouldn't
They
imagine a
barely
lot of
were
female.
able to vote.
Well, I think Seattle, you know, aside from the prohibition thing, we're kind of like trendsetters as well. I mean, like Madame Damnable, she ran
that's
a good
Seattle,
point, yeah.
you know,
all
yeah.
the celebrity madams
And
in
then
Pioneer
like
Square.
Three Girls Bakery, the first all-women's business, opened in the market, I believe, in 1912.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
that was really
Wow.
early on.
Yeah.
And that all completely women ran, owned, and operated.
And now female entrepreneurship is a thing. You know, it all started in Seattle.
Once again,
Once
again.
again,
Seattle.
Everything
comes
starts
from
in Seattle.
That's
right.
right.
Yep.
The Little Red Hen started playing country music in the 1980s. So that's when country became a thing here.
Before then, it was just Western.
No,
Yes.
they had live music, but it wasn't always country. It was whatever was kind of like popular at the time.
Beatnik Bar.
In the 40s, it was
Beatnik
probably
bar,
big band
and then
music
it
and
was
stuff.
Jefferson Airplane, fucking hippie jam bar,
Yeah.
and that was Fog Hat
Yeah.
bar in the 70s.
I wonder why they decided to become a country bar in the 80s, though. Like, what was going on in the 80s? Is that when Garth Brooks and all those, like,
No,
That wave
that
of-
was 1990 when they brought it back from the dead. 1980 was like
that was still
Conway
the
Twitty, and there was like this
Yeah.
big gap of they were
ZZ
still
Top?
where
I don't know.
no, that's rock and roll.
Rock and-
They were hanging on to rhinestone suits, and it was
Right.
like stale and.
That's what I mean. That's kind of
hee-haw.
surprising that in the 80s, they would, here in Seattle, they decided to become a country bar.
Yeah.
But that's when they started playing it. Despite being a country bar, however, the Stone Temple Pilots filmed the video for their song Plush here at the Little Red Hen
That is
on
cool.
stage.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that kind of crazy?
That's
Watch
awesome.
that rip video again.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did actually watch it after I researched
Nice.
and saw this. And you can tell.
They're
Yeah.
not from here. How'd they find
I don't
this
know.
joint?
That's
I don't know.
obscure. Yeah.
I guess that's when Seattle was booming. So let's go up to Seattle and
Everything
film a
starts in
video.
Seattle.
And
Yeah.
someone was
okay.
like, okay, yeah, we'll
I
record
know
a video
Little
here.
Red Hen, man.
Yeah.
They got a great stage. That's cool.
I assume. Also in the 1990s, an artist by the name of Ray Jeffries painted a series of Western-themed murals throughout the bar that you can still see out throughout the day.
Yeah,
and
come check them out.
Yeah,
the
we're
murals are
facing them right
incredible. we were talking about them when we first got here because that's the first thing that kind of grabs your eyes. These incredible
these
murals.
Giant paintings on the wall that are the size of the wall. Would you say, Brad?
And they look like they would just be like wallpaper. It looks like just a big, graphic.
A big sheet of wallpaper.
A big sheet of wallpaper. You slap on your paste and whatever. But no, these were hand painted.
They were hand painted. Yeah, and it definitely gives the bar. It's part of what gives the bar its charm is these really cool murals.
Yeah, I like.
Can I jump in because I found some cool stuff about the murals? They were made in the early '90s, right when Stone Temple Pilots was here. It was done at the same time.
Yep.
By former Seattle PI advertising artist Ray Jeffries.
That's right.
He was best friends with Judy Olsby. And
okay.
Yeah, and if you look closely at these, there's a ton of little Where's Waldo things to be found. I'm going to give you listeners a couple to come find when you come down here.
We'll post some pictures on the social.
Yep.
There's a couple making love in the bushes.
Which mural is that?
Here.
No, but which one?
Hey now, Lou, this is a PG podcast. Come on.
There's a fisherman giving the bird to an eagle that looks like he's attacking him. A guy giving a bird to a bird.
Okay, now you've piqued my curiosity.
Wow. And John Wayne is in there.
Crazy irony.
As is Judy Olsby herself, naked and riding a horse.
No way.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
So
we'll go exploring when we go get round 2.
Did she authorize that being painted into the mural?
Yeah,
or?
that was her best friend. I assume they were.
He just snuck in.
Fun.
He caught her in her prime.
Yeah.
Immortalized her. That's very cool. I didn't know that about the murals.
Yeah.
That's some good info. Today, the Little Red Hen operates as a beloved urban honky-tonk where line dancing and live music represents a fun time for local country music fans. And I'm assuming probably a lot of, even people come here that aren't necessarily country music fans.
Oh, for
just
sure.
Just to come here
because
it's a cool place.
Yeah, totally.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. Has a really cool vibe here. Kind of a very interesting aesthetic. Kind of hard to put your finger on.
And it's another one of those bars like the East Lake Zoo where it looks like a door to a closet and you go in and it's huge.
Yeah.
It's good size place.
Yeah, totally.
Good size place. Yeah, you mentioned the aesthetic, and it's like those murals painted in the 90s, maybe they were commissioned for the Stone Temple Pilots video, we don't know, right? But the style of the murals is fantastic because it looks like it's straight out of the 50s.
Yeah.
Right? It's got this
like
super kind of old
forever.
school.
Yeah.
It's got scenes of old Western ghost towns, and there's Indian teepees and all sorts of country Western old school country Western stuff in these murals, and they did a really really good job of making it look like it was painted in the 40s or 50s.
Yeah.
When in fact it was the 90s.
Yeah, and the colors even look like from that era too.
Yeah,
He did a good job with everything.
And the color palette automatically integrated this decades-old smoke patina of a good dive bar.
Yeah.
And actually, the article I read about it said it's a miracle they survived because these were up before the smoking ban.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a good solid layer of nicotine on this stuff.
Go ahead, Lou, why don't you turn around, go ahead and lick that mural there and see what you...
See if you get a nicotine buzz.
You get a little kick.
I think I'm ODing.
This bar, this is what Lost Lake on Capitol Hill wants to be. I don't know if you guys ever ate there before.
Yeah.
This old school.
Yeah.
This is what they're shooting for. This is definitely what
something feels very authentic about it.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that's the history of this place. What do you guys think?
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's a great bar. I have a lot of memories here in my early 20s. One of my good friends,
been here, Bob?
Alessandra Quinn, was a bartender. So we used to come here on the weekends, dance nights, off nights, just sit at the bar.
Did you ever line dance here?
I
Do
never.
the two-step?
No, admittedly, I never did, but I watched a lot of people have fun. So,
Yeah.
And what's funny is we normally show up about 6 and record, but I came here to scout the place one day at about 6:30, and at 7, it looks like it does now. There's a dozen people milling around.
Smattering.
And it's 7. That music's going to kick in hard, and that dance floor is going to be packed.
Yeah.
It's what happened. I was talking to her, and all of a sudden, it's bang, ding, 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 ding. They swarmed and started getting down. So this is a really cool bar.
Siren goes out off out in front.
And even if you don't want to dance, you want to watch people, good dancers, old people that have been coming here for 30 years.
Well,
and
it's old people, young people, and everyone
it's
of
the
all
whole
walks
gamut.
of life. It's really
Yeah.
cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just look around here. It's pretty quiet now, like you said, but the clientele is just classic dive bar, right? Classic dive bar. There's some folks up at the actual bar that are super regulars and know everybody by first name basis and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And their butt cheeks are well worn into the little stools by the bar there. And this place also has a bunch of stuff that is classic dive bar, but that we don't always see in some of the dive bars that we've been to, especially in season 1, right?
Yeah.
So, like, one thing I love is you go up to the bar. It's a relatively small bar. There's probably 10 or 12 stools around that bar. Fairly
Half
small.
circle. Yeah.
But look up, right? The whole ceiling is mirrored.
Which makes it look bigger.
Just fucking great.
Yeah.
It makes it look like a strip club or something.
Yeah.
Big mirror. And then
all the red lights.
behind the bar, where you would normally expect to see rows of liquor, the top shelf liquor or whatever, what is there? Big buckets of pull tabs.
Yeah. Pull tabs.
Pull tabs, yeah.
And then on the bar are the
cardboard
little baskets of the loser tickets there, which you expect for that, whatever. And then underneath the giant baskets of pull tabs is a tiny little shelf with some booze that probably nobody ever orders.
So what are they drinking here then?
I'm assuming this is a beer joint. That's probably the...
There's a shelf of beer.
You want to start off with what you're drinking?
Yeah,
what you drinking?
Jeremy, tell us about what you're drinking.
All right.
It's not top shelf liquor.
No.
It's pull tabs. And
there's a whole story behind this, but I'll start off by just quickly saying a Widmer Hefeweizen, which is good. Yep. And the bartender was also very kind enough to say, would you like a lemon wedge with that?
Nice.
And I was like, well, hell yeah.
Official.
Why don't we get a little hoity-toity with this, which gave her a little chuckle.
She did it proper.
She did.
Paid respect to the Hefeweizen.
Quite impressed. Yeah, and it of course is delicious.
More important than that, though, what are you drinking it out of?
Let's get it. We'll get into that. But why don't you finish up with what you drink? So, Brad, what you drinking?
I'm boring tonight. I have a Manny's. Not that there's anything wrong with Manny's, but it was the thing is I just saw one thing of taps. There was like 5 different beers on the tap. That's it. Yeah. There wasn't a lot of options tonight. So I just was like, I'll take a Manny's.
Yeah, I got the IPA Lucille.
Mm-hmm.
Lucille.
Seattle staple.
Yeah. But it's as important as what you're drinking. It's what you're drinking it out of. We were talking this week earlier, and Jeremy went to Europe recently and found out some European glass stuff that's fucking
you guys
cool.
know I just came back from a beer mecca, one of the beer meccas, not the only beer mecca, Northern Europe.
And we posted a photo of you with a rather large stein on our IG.
Yeah, that was in Munich, Germany.
For posterity.
Yeah, that was fantastic. That's fantastic. So, I mentioned there's kind of a story with the Pyramid Hefeweizen, but I thought there was some interesting stuff we could talk about. Came back from Europe. We landed in Frankfurt, Germany. Started off our trip in Frankfurt, Germany, and spent a lot of time in Germany. So, of course, first thing priority for me is German beer. Right?
Sure.
And we had plenty of it. Like you said, you posted that picture. We went to some very, very famous German beer halls. We weren't there in Oktoberfest, unfortunately, but close enough. Going to some famous beer halls and drinking a shit ton of German beer. And the German beer styles are the little lighters, the Hales and the lagers and some Pilsners and stuff like that. But they're different. The German beers are just maybe it's psychological where you are, but they were delicious. And we got a couple of Dunkels and some wheat beers and all sorts of great stuff. But it made me think about what is a hot beer trend now? It's a rhetorical question. I'm going to answer it for you. The hazy IPAs, right?
You saw them in Germany?
Well, I'm getting to that. It is. I'm getting to that. So, hazy IPAs here in the States.
Full circle. Germany's ripping off Seattle.
Here in Northwest. I don't know about the Midwest and the Bible Belt and the Sun Belt or whatever, but around here, hazy IPAs are hot, right?
For sure.
But where does a hazy even come from? The whole idea of a hazy unfiltered beer, and it comes from wheat beers. The Weizens of Bavarian and northern Germany. Okay. And you guys remember back in the 80s and 90s what was really hot around here?
Heffies.
Yeah.
Hefeweizen.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Sure.
A hazy IPA is just like a Heffy with a big kick to it.
With hops added to it? Is that what?
With
no.
alcohol.
I mean, it's different than that. But
it's a Hefeweizen. They take the syringe. They shoot a bunch of alcohol in it. right?
No.
It's like fortified, like Mad Dog.
Well, my theory is the evolution of IPA. So IPAs kicked off in 2000s or so, were gaining traction, especially here in the Pacific Northwest. And then we saw all sorts of weird variations of IPAs. We saw like the ultra hoppy double
West
IPAs, West Coast IPAs,
industrial,
the imperial and double imperials, and all sorts of crazy shit. And just everybody was trying to out hop each other and stuff like that. And the next evolution of that was kind of the Citra hop type stuff, or single hop type IPAs that are really popular now.
I remember those Citras.
Which lends itself well to an unfiltered, hazy IPA, which I love, and there's plenty of them that are delicious. We gotta give recognition back to the history, which is, I think, back to the Hefeweizens.
Word, yeah.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, and in Germany, you order a Weizen beer, and it comes, by default, it's going to be a hazy, unfiltered type of beer. There are some clearer ones that are filtered and all this kind of stuff, but most of them are, by default, you want a Weizen, it's an unfiltered, hazy beer. They don't call it unfiltered, hazy beer. They just call it a Weizen or a wheat beer, but it's hazy and cloudy as fuck.
Do they give you a lemon wedge over there, too?
No.
But where did the lemon wedge come in?
That sounds like totally a United States thing. Like, in Mexico, they're probably not sticking lemons in Coronas.
No,
It's
limes in Coronas.
Yeah, we can save that for a whole other episode. But yeah, that is definitely not attached to the history of like Hefeweizens and stuff. That was a modern.
It's not a traditional.
Somebody's
marketing
brain fart was like, "What are we gonna do with all these lemons?" Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's good though.
It works.
It works well.
Yeah, it works. It's like when you go, like you said, you go to Mexico and you get a Corona and they pop a little, lemon or something in the bottle. There, it's like it doesn't really help the flavor that much, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It gives you electrolytes though.
That's
true.
true.
To keep drinking all day.
Nice,
smart.
Healthy.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a health twist. But
Lou,
cool. you were bringing up about the glass. This is a traditional, pint
So
glass.
picture in your mind a pint glass. You've
glass.
had it a million
Everybody
times.
picture
Typical.
Well, to
But
clarify,
there's
though,
not-
an American pint glass, which is a little different than like a British or UK
Imperial
glass.
pint.
Different than an imperial pint glass, different than a European quote-unquote pint glass and stuff. So, but yeah, American-style pint glasses are all over the place. I think every single beer we've had in a dive bar has been, I can't think of any exceptions, has been in this exact type of glass.
They're pretty ubiquitous as far as what they serve beer in,
Yeah, I don't think we've gotten a beer in anything but this type of glass.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, but it's a fairly...
What's it look like in Europe?
Well, this style of pint glass is a fairly American kind of invention. I mean, you go elsewhere and they have these type of glasses, but they're they kind of borrowed them from us. This is mostly an American style. Nobody else wanted these kinds of pint glasses until relatively recently. But let's save the glass history maybe to another episode, right? Because there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot there. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack.
Sounds good.
And that trip to Europe gave me a whole shit ton of information about the history of beers, the history of glasses, how beers are served, like the Reinheitsgebot. You guys know what I'm talking about, stuff like that. We'll save that. We'll save that for another episode.
And in that next episode, actually, Jeremy's going to tell us about in Europe they're government certified glasses. The glass you get your beer in is government certified. So you guys want to walk around and look at some murals and get another beer?
Yeah, let's
do it.
Let's come back for round 2.
All right. Satan's, hit us.
Well, we're back.
Are we back? All right, we're back after round 2. We refreshed our drinks, and I went with Jeremy's route. I got the Hefeweizen.
Can't go wrong.
Did I.
A classic
with a lemon
that goes down smooth.
Nice.
Well, I was telling Jeremy my first drink of it. I haven't had one in a long time. So when I had one, it was like a taste of nostalgia.
Totally. And that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
And we were just talking off mic. I'm sorry, but I was just thinking about Widmer Hefeweizen the other day and how long it's been since I've had one. And then we come here to this joint tonight, and what's on tap? Oh, bam.
Yeah,
it was destined to be.
The seas parted.
And that's something our listener would know. All Jeremy's dreams come true. Didn't know that.
Damn straight.
What did you get for round 2? Did you get the
round
IPA?
2 was I did the Lagunitas IPA, which can't go wrong. It's a fantastic IPA. Interesting to see. So this place, 5 beers on tap, which is got to be one of the smallest tap selections we've encountered.
I was thinking that.
Right?
Yeah.
And we've always made lots of comments about, like, hey, this is Northwest, man. It's like, we're beer bars, and, like, the diviest of dive bars is going to have, like, an awesome beer collection or whatever. So interesting to see. Just 5, pretty small.
Well, the surprising thing about it, I mean, this place is a country bar, which are notorious for being, like, beer joints. Yeah.
Budweiser, MGD.
Well,
Yeah,
I imagine
totally
they go
imagine.
through a lot of cans and bottles.
You're probably right.
A lot of cans and bottles.
You're probably not wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Lone
true.
Star.
Yeah.
Rainer,
they get
Rainer Tall Boys. I saw someone drinking one of those.
You got to have Seattle staple.
Nice.
they've
Vitamin
got
R.
they've got Shiner Bock in bottle in the cooler there.
Nice.
Classic.
Very cool. And also on break, we played some pull tabs. Bob,
Yeah.
explain to a listener who doesn't know what pull tabs are. It's Washington State's gambling. You'll see it in various dive bars.
Yeah, it's
what
a classic,
tab is
classic dive bar tradition over here in Washington. It's just a little game board. Usually behind the bar, you'll see some clear plexiglass boxes with really funny. One of my favorite things about playing the games is actually looking at the name of the games, and it's completely obscure how they name these things. And it's just gambling. So you put money in, you get a couple tickets, and you hope that you pull the right one and get more than you put in. And they just have 3 weird kind of pictures on there, and then if they're
like a slot machine,
like a
you
slot
pull
machine, yeah. And then,
like
but instead of getting 3 cherries, you get a stripe through them with a denomination of how much money you won, or just 3 random pictures, no stripe, and you unfortunately didn't win anything.
How much these pull tabs cost?
You anywhere from like 25 cents to $1 is pretty common. But if you go to certain places, they have like really big ones. I think I've seen like as high as maybe like a 5. But the winners you get, are like. Really, you could win like $4,000. Is like you could pull one for a $5 ticket,
Yeah.
But then the tickets go up too. So you have to look at how many tickets are in the box. Usually there's about 6,600 for the one that I saw for the 4,000. I think it was 13,000. So your odds of pulling
and
that.
That's a big pop
million
for
and
pull
one.
tabs,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. 13,000.
Usually they're like $500.
Yeah, give or take.
$200.
Maybe 800 at the thou. But yeah, not in between there. So yeah, so it's pretty fun though.
It was my first time playing, which is odd because we've been
That's
doing.
your first pull tab?
It's my very first pull tab that I've ever
virgin.
played. Yeah.
How did we do tonight, boys? I bought $5 worth of 50-cent tabs, so I got 10. We all had 2. Bob, you did the same thing?
I bought 5.
And so out of the
$10 we
20
spent.
pull tabs that we bought, how many were winners?
We got a 30% return. Well, actually, we got 3 winners. So, but on our money, we got a 30% return, which would only be 3 out of 20. So that's not too high.
Skip going to Vegas is what we're saying. Just come to the Little Red Hen.
And of course, you are going to reinvest those $3 that you won, right?
Jeremy, that's correct. I can see you're well versed in gambling.
Everybody knows you should do that.
Well, and I was telling these guys on break, too, I actually know a guy that got addicted to pull tabs. I'm not going to name his name on there. You guys know who it is. But,
Steve.
Yeah.
Probably not that uncommon, unfortunately.
No, I think it does.
Right?
I mean, it's gambling. Gambling is gambling.
There's a support line printed on these boxes. Like, if you have a problem, call here.
And it's tempting because it's relatively cheap, 50 cents. You're like, oh, give me another, give me another, give me another. Pretty soon,
it's also
$50.
And with him, he got some big winners. Like I think he got a couple $400 ones or whatever. And that's a rush. And you want to replicate that rush. It's a drug.
It's a dopamine high.
So he got addicted and
cardboard cocaine.
He is cardboard cocaine. I like that term, cardboard cocaine. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you're talking about the addictive properties of gambling, which is true and legit. And it's like, you got to be careful because it's probably more common than we all recognize and deal with, right? But this is the government. This is Washington State government running this
gambling,
this very known addictive substance to the public, right? And that's a theme with the government, right?
Sure.
Something that is like a little bit controversial and potentially highly addictive. The government needs to come in and kind of manage this shit, right? Government comes in and manages gambling. They manage sex as much as they can. They manage drugs. They manage alcohol. And we're here in Washington State. It wasn't that long ago when all liquor in Washington State had to go through what? A state-run liquor store.
Sure.
right? So it's interesting social commentary, I would say.
Well, I was going to say, but before Washington got his hands on it, they just saw what the boys were doing, what the fellas were doing, and they wanted in on the action.
So that's all it was.
That's all it was.
Sure.
Well, do you guys, Jeremy and Lou, do you guys remember when we went to the beer festival? One of the craziest scenes I saw was the Washington State Lottery. They had a truck set up there at the beer festival, with like 3 windows, selling lottery tickets. That's what they were there for.
That
At the
was
beer
the first
festival.
time, too. And I didn't even notice it.
And
I
it
thought
was-
it was like a
it was
little
weird.
pop-up convenience store because they also sold water and
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was
Coke and
weird,
stuff,
and it was
and
it
that
was
was
all
like-
kind of hypey.
just-
It's like neon lights and shit, and they had plants. They hired people like in plain street clothes to like walk around like, hey, I just bought a lottery ticket and I won $10. All right, it's like
Wow,
okay.
that's deep.
yeah.
It was
Wow.
a crazy thing to see, but yeah.
Yep. Death merchants. Everyone thinks Seattle's a nanny state trying to protect you, but no, they're trying to kill you as quickly as possible.
And profit off it, the highest
Profit
vice
off.
tax in all
Profit
the
off your
nation.
death. Yes,
Yeah.
profit off your death.
Nice. So you guys want to talk about where we're at?
Yeah, this is our first time in this particular neighborhood.
This
so
is something special because it's cool. Where are we at, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Greenlake. Oh man, I love Greenlake, and
Yeah.
Everybody loves Greenlake.
for the one listener we got, you walk here and you can't help but passing by Greenlake Cycles, which is another kind of Seattle institution. If you're into
Yeah.
bicycles and shit like that, and I walk by there, realize I haven't been in Greenlake Cycle in years and years and years. I used to go there like all the freaking time when I lived close by because I'm
Yeah.
a bike guy and shit like that. And
Right.
But yeah, and then Greenlake, super fun to walk around, all sorts of cool shit going on.
Seattle's Central Park, kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
it's
The
Green Lake's-
pandemic like closed down a lot of shit, but now it's a
Alright.
lot of that
back.
stuff is reopened. We don't quite have our swan boats back yet, but we're getting close. Getting
The
close.
swan boats are not back yet?
No,
I
almost.
don't know when they
Paddle
did.
boats?
And that was
Paddle boats.
actually my daughter's first job was there at the
Her
Greenlake
summer job?
Cafe, her
Very
summer
Seattle.
job. Yeah, working at the boat rental place. It was
Nice.
like
So
a
yeah,
great
there's
summer
these little
job.
paddle boats.
You can
right
see
here.
that shit from where we are. I could like walk outside, take a corner, see over to the Green Lake, probably see some paddle boats.
Yep.
Probably see your daughter pushing those paddle
Speaking
boats.
of Green Lakes, have you guys ever attended the boat races that are made out of the milk
Oh,
crates?
the
I've seen
cardboard.
that
Oh,
before.
yeah.
Those are great.
That
It's
always
part
really
of
intrigues
Seafair,
me.
the milk crate.
The
Yeah.
derby, the milk crate
For our
derby.
listener that doesn't know what that means, it's a competition of boats, and you can only make it using milk cartons.
Yes.
There you go, dude.
Literally.
Thank you, Jay.
And it's awesome. But yeah,
And those big ass Costco milk cartons don't count.
Green
Those,
Lake.
those are banned.
Green Lake is one of the jewels of the city. It's always packed on a beautiful day. There's a 2-way walking path around the whole lake, just under 3 miles around. If you're a jogger, measures it out nicely. It used to be half and half. You could walk on one side and wheels on the other, bikes and rollerblades. Mm-hmm. But now wheels are gone.
Oh,
And
are they?
so, yeah, it's only walking.
I didn't know that.
Wheels are gone, but you still might see
Well-
the older gentleman on the rollerblades who is there
Well,
every
yeah.
day jamming out to his music.
for sure.
Shout
And-
out to that guy.
You
Shout
know,
out to that guy.
why they made that change with no wheels now.
Yeah,
Those
because
fucking
the-
electric scooters.
Oh, yes.
Straight up,
You're
straight
right.
up. It is those the onslaught of those electric scooters. It was just
What are
pissing
those,
people
And they go
off.
fast, too.
Yeah,
And it's
they're
it's a
fast.
walking path. There's families, there's groups of 5.
They haul.
The dude on
those things are
rollerblades I
like-
can deal with, but the guy doing like 20 miles an hour on the electric scooter,
What are those electric
not in my
unicycles
backyard.
called? It's just one
Oh,
wheel.
the Uniwheels or
Is
whatever.
that what they're called?
Yeah.
I see those all over too.
Yep.
They're cruising around
Banned, banned
called-
on Green Lake.
It's called Annoying Guy.
on those. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine for me that the wheels were banned because, like, the wheel guys were always a little aggro, and if like someone stepped out of their side,
Yup.
chirp at them, and be like, "Hey, get on your side!"
On your right, on your right.
Yes,
Now,
exactly.
but now, to your point, though, Bob, you are still allowed to rollerblade your ass around the lake, right?
No, I think all wheels are gone. I haven't. We come
Really?
here to swim a couple times a
Fuck
month in the
that,
summer.
man.
and-
I'm putting on
I
my
haven't
quads
seen any
and going
wheels.
around the damn lake.
I think the gentleman's just grandfathered in, I believe.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about how Green Lake was created. A
Like-
giant
Go back to the
glacier.
age.
Yeah, 50,000 years ago.
Oh, I
the
thought you meant like a
Vashon-
big backhoe, and they just like carved that shit out. And
No, the
Mother Nature's backhoe, Jeremy.
the Vashon Glacier slid its ass out of here, and it dredged all the lakes in the city. Green Lake, Lake Washington, Lake Union. But unlike those other lakes, this one has no inflow or outflow, and it's because of that it doesn't circulate at all, that it's called Greenlake, right? It's a literal name because algae blooms happen, and when they do, the lake becomes green.
But it's okay to drink from, right?
Well, I'll tell you.
Let me answer the question, Brad, by saying, can you drink in it, yes or no? Would you drink in it when you are not allowed to swim in it because it is too toxic?
Yeah. If you look at them,
gonna say
Brad,
yes.
and you think that looks kind of gross, like it might be a little toxic, you would be right. They monitor it, and you'll see yellow signs they put all around the lake when it's not healthy to swim
Then
there.
you can't even go clamming. It sucks.
Yeah. When I say Green Lake, what's one of the first things that comes to mind, Brad? Say a word. Free associate.
Summer.
Jeremy.
Rabbits.
Good one. Bob.
Duck Island.
Good one.
That is a good one, yeah.
Good one.
You were all incorrect. I was looking for duck poop.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was looking
or
for
more
duck poop.
accurately, Canadian goose poo.
Yes.
That's right.
That's very
The
correct.
park areas closer
Ducks
to
are
the
fine.
lake
It's a fucking goose.
often have a lot of it, so you have to watch where you step, watch where you set down the blanket. You know what I'm saying? And actually, as of recently, they've implemented a program to reduce the number of ducks and geese around the lake. I'm not sure how they're doing that, but
Open
it seems-
season?
it
Come
seems
on.
to be working, and they did it for two reasons. One, it's gross, and two, the droppings that make it into the lake raise the level of phosphorus and contribute to the algae blooms. And so
Goddamn
back in
geese.
2003, they did a thing where they treated the lake with something to reduce the level of phosphorus, and that was a big help.
And I believe they put some robots in there that cleaned it as well. Because I was gonna
That's
say,
right.
In the early 2000s, for a brief period, that was one of the cleaner lakes in like all the city
Pristine,
for a very
pristine.
brief period.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Until the
could
ducks
see
and geese
clear
are
down the
like,
bottom.
oh, yeah? Not in my house.
And do you guys remember? I remember this in the 90s. Like, those algae blooms would get so bad, it'd just be like a bright green blanket of
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
slime
Yeah.
on the whole thing.
Practically neon.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I remember locals I'd be talking to. I'm like, Green Lake, is that fun? And they're like, I see people swimming in it, and I'm like, no, thank you.
Well,
I'm not
Greenlake
going in there.
was notorious with the itch.
The swimmer's itch.
Yes.
Well,
That's
you know,
right.
and
right.
it's interesting you mentioned that, Lo, because there are many, many times where there are signs all around Green Lake where don't go swimming. Don't go swimming because of whatever. But technically, you are not banned from swimming. It is just a recommendation.
At your own risk.
If you really
That's
want
good.
to, you can still go swimming, but there are signs all over the fucking place like, yeah,
Probably
I
not a
wouldn't
good
go
idea.
swimming in if I were you.
Not advised.
But people do. People still
Yeah,
do.
that's true. And it's what's crazy is it actually drained into Lake Washington. Did you know this?
No.
No, and look at it. Do you know Ravenna, that big, wide grass strip thoroughfare median between the two one-ways that goes out of Green Lake, down Ravenna, it curves through the U District and
Yeah.
goes to Cowan Park
Yes.
on
Yep.
65th
Yep.
and Roosevelt?
Yeah.
That's the creek.
Yeah.
And they built that to cover up the creek because in 1911, the water level was lowered 7 feet to make all of the park space that you see around it. All of the fields, the boathouse, the pool. They lowered it to make all that possible, and that dried up the creek between here and Cowan Park. And so they built that median strip to cover up where the dead creek was.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Civil engineering.
Last thing, you talked about would you swim in that back in the algae days? Did you know you can fish in Green Lake?
Oh yeah,
I've caught trout
yeah,
out of
for
there.
Sure. Yeah,
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. They stock
Well,
it with trout and perch
That's-
and a
it's
few
the
other
largest
things.
stocked.
knew that.
It's the largest stocked lake in.
just like there's the old dude who's always like rollerblading. There's always some old school.
Always.
fishers
You always
there.
see with
Always.
the poles on the
every
water.
single day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
I never noticed it. It's so funny.
Kicking back in a.
It's great because you can actually
Sure.
you can get off work if you want to throw. If you enjoy fishing. Now, how would you fish the waters over there in Green Lake? Well, what you do is you
Well,
set
are
it
you
up.
on the shore
diesel
cast-
trawler?
Are you on the shore casting, or do you got to go out in a little
No, I
boat?
go on the shore casting, and then what you want to do is put some power bait up top and maybe a 1 ounce sinker and a leader in between 4 to 6 feet or so of a leader, and that way the food floats to the top. And depending upon the summer and the heat, that you're going to change the leader, depending upon what the temperature is. But about 4 to 6 feet. And you might get a nice little 1 pound trout on your fishing pole. And
what's the biggest trout you caught there?
About a pound.
About a pound?
Yeah,
but it's
nice
dinner.
Pulse. Yeah, but it's fun just to see.
Yeah.
You have your little ultralight rod, gives you a little challenge to pull in.
But
that's
when,
cool.
when do you have to throw it back?
Well,
You gotta throw them all back? I mean, come on,
No, you
pounds.
take it
You gotta
home,
throw that
man.
shit back, right?
I don't know. I mean, you could eat probably a couple. I wouldn't want to eat it every night, but
No, I'm saying like, is there's got to be
weight limit?
it's got to be a limit where you got to catch
sure.
and release, right?
for trout, no. You can
Like
take it.
anything you catch,
Yeah.
you can.
Well, it's a stocked lake, so
Oh yeah,
you
okay,
taking
okay,
it doesn't
yeah,
matter.
Yeah.
Right, you're not wiping out a
not-
population.
It's not like you're fucking up with the breeding grounds
Also,
of the trout or whatever.
Also, in the fish world, they are known to have notorious, very large catfish sneaking around there in Greenlake.
That's true. I looked at the
Monster,
list
Really?
of
I didn't
fish,
know that.
monster cats.
and there's like
yeah.
I like me some catfish.
kind of like people who throw their alligators into the swamps in Florida when they grow too big. And it was a good idea at the time.
The pythons and
Like,
stuff.
there's like people have dumped sturgeons in there,
Yeah.
largemouth bass, and so there's kind of like goldfish. People,
Yeah, and
like,
they
throw
instantly die. Yeah.
Goldfish is a dead zone, but yeah, like
Well, some of the biggest pythons in the world they're finding in Florida now, and that's what it's from. It's from assholes who, hey, a python would make a great pet. And then when they get to about 10 feet, they're like, oh,
Holy shit.
maybe I should just release it in the wild. And so they're,
It doesn't fit in my 20-gallon tank anymore. What the hell?
Goddamn PetSmart.
did you read? Are you thinking about the same article I read where you think I'll just get rid of this python, and another Jesse said I'll get rid of this python,
And then they meet.
They made 100 pythons,
And then it-
1,000,
Oh, yeah.
and
that's why
10,000.
Yeah, it's like
Florida and
rabbits.
places
Now it's
like that have major
Yeah, it's like
python
rabbits.
They're
problems.
fucking
yeah.
eating crocodiles and stuff.
Yeah, they're getting huge.
Yeah, they made a bounty system where they will pay you
Yep.
like $100 for every
That's right.
python you get out of
Yeah.
there. Make Florida America.
So yeah, let's
America.
road trip it to Florida. Let's find ourselves a little dive bar that's right by the bayou there, and we'll go like python hunting, and
Catfishing.
I'll catch
catfishing,
some
and get
pompanos.
yeah,
off the
get
shore.
us some alligators. And,
We'll do the catfish in the kind where they like reach into little crevices
The noodle.
along the banks. and
yeah,
grab
hell
'em.
yeah,
Noodling.
yeah.
We won't even use fishing rods.
Nah.
Those are for wusses, fishing
And,
rods.
over here in Washington
we're gonna
State-
liquor it up first because that's
course.
yeah.
Yeah, for like not for catfish, but if you want to catch some carp, a great way to fish is bow fishing, which is approved legal here in Washington State.
Like
Bow? Oh, so you can get a super long cast? More than you'd be.
no,
No, you
no,
find
just
one
the
in the
bow.
water and-
The bow, like
Oh,
the
you're
the
like
arrow is
old
what kills
Native
it.
American.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for carp
Yeah.
fishing.
Shooting the fish.
Yeah,
That's legal.
Shooting like shooting fish in a barrel.
Right.
Only it's a
Nice.
really big ass barrel.
That's cool. Do you still have a fishing reel and tackle box?
Do you still have a bow?
I go fishing. Me and Lloyd Gregory went crabbing off the Edmonds Pier the other day.
How big's
Oh,
your
did you?
bow?
Yeah,
Did you guys get anything?
we got a couple of red rocks,
Nice.
Cool.
but I like to go there and I got a salmon.
Pier down there is great.
People pull salmon out of there.
Yeah.
King salmon.
Oh yeah.
Any day of the year.
They go squidding at night.
Yep. Oh, that's a scene. That's
Yeah.
quite the scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Squidding.
Nice.
Yeah. Shine a big bright light into the water and
I've heard you can pull 5-10 pounds out in an evening, clean them up, backpack them, and you just got.
you got yourself a calamari dinner.
That's right.
Nice. All right, guys, we did a good job here tonight.
What the fuck are we talking about? Where the hell are we?
We hit all kinds of topics
We're at
tonight.
Greenlake.
Don't go to Alaska.
Little Red
as a
Hen.
Commercial fisherman. Come to Greenlake.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
You
Oh,
can-
and a shout out to
way
the
easier.
bartender
Oh, yeah.
who was definitely she was being awesome
Allie.
tonight. Allie.
Yep.
Sunday nights at 7:30. Every Sunday is open
Open mic?
Arguably
Open mic.
One of
Yeah,
the better
I
open
think we
mics
need to
in-
come back and check out what kind of open mic clientele
That
we
could be
get on a
pretty cool.
Sunday.
Yeah. But they've been very hospitable tonight and
so
great.
thank you, Little Red
hosts,
Hen.
So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that place. Before we go, I can. You want me to tell you a story about the Little Red Hen?
Sure.
When I came here a couple nights ago on a Tuesday, just so I could meet the Thursday bartender and confirm that the person I talked to before said it's okay. Who works here Thursday? And she
Check
was
out the
like,
sanitary conditions
Yeah,
of the
she said
restroom.
that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
I'll be here. That'd be great. You guys can do it. And so I was sitting at the end of the bar, and he wasn't shit-faced, but he was drunk enough to be obnoxious, like kind of that guy.
Okay.
And then someone came and sat in between us. He looked like a regular. She didn't even ask him what he wanted, just handed him a Rainier Tall Boy. And we were all just kind of kicking there silently, drinking our drinks, and then guy goes, "Hey, who do you think could win in a fight, me or you?"
He asked that to you?
No, to guy between us. Thank God. I didn't have to answer that question. But he didn't look like he was actually looking for a fight. He thought he was being funny, but it's kind of like pulling the fire alarm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could go.
He wouldn't let it
go south pretty easily.
He wouldn't
So
let
what
it go.
was the answer?
Well, he was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "No, who'd win in a fight with me?" And then he looked at his friends like, "Who do you think could win in a fight, me or him, me or him?" And he was like, I think I'd win. What do you think?" And he just stood up, walked out the front door, and left his full bear there.
It's either that or the dude who asked the question gets one sock to the face. It's on the floor. So you got to really be careful.
So the guy left is like, "Yeah, I'm about 5 seconds from killing you, so I think I'm gonna leave."
Was he asking that like being aggressive or what?
No.
He
He just
funny?
just fucking around.
If he'd have asked
just
it
fucking
for
around.
me, I would have made a joke, and we actually did become friends after Dickhead left. He couldn't take a joke.
So that's what it was. Guy
Yeah,
just couldn't take a
still,
joke.
but yeah, it's kind of a douchebag. But
That's
don't
weird.
Don't threaten someone in a bar with a bar fight,
Yeah,
even as a joke. It's
That's
not a
that's
question
pulling
I
the fire
commonly ask
alarm.
people.
those are the
Yeah.
kind of the questions you got to ask somebody that you know pretty darn well.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
like a stranger that you meet at a bar.
No.
Yeah, no.
And
Okay,
then when I was talking to him, he
lesson.
said he was a teacher, and I was like, hopefully not of children. And that got a big laugh from all his friends.
Can you imagine the teacher asking his students that? Who do you think would win in a fight?
This is like a
Me or you?
dim lights,
Me versus all
stiff
of you.
drinks public service announcement. It's
Speaking
great.
of rough teachers, I don't know if you guys remember George the Animal Steele.
Oh, yeah.
Supposedly he was like a
course.
high school physics or history teacher in
Was
like
he
somewhere
really?
in like South Jersey. Or
He's
something.
he's
not
actually pretty
the
smart?
only one.
Yeah.
He's
Was he?
not the only one. There's been a few professional wrestlers who were
Yeah,
in the educational system.
yeah, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
The more you learn.
The more you learn, the more you know. All right,
Yeah.
guys, let's knock it on the head.
Right.
Thank you, Little Red Hen.
So
And-
fucking educational. This podcast is so educational.
Yes.
Very educational.
You cannot not listen.
All right, cheers, boys. And
Cheers.
Satan's Pilgrims, take us out.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh.